Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Lynn and I've just picked a random color cube card to craft with today. And the reason why I've brought out my color cubes is because I am very inspired by Karen, who is Karen's Crafting Company on Instagram. And she is on the Also Inspired design team led by Call Me Crafty Al here on YouTube. And she is who we are all inspired by this month for our video. I noticed that Karen makes really good use of her color cube and I don't. So I'm super inspired by Karen to bring out my color cube and actually use it. In fact, these days, I think the only thing I use it for is this or that color, which we play sometimes on Crafty Fun with Friends, my Saturday live stream. And so I've already picked out my random card. It's this one here, 114. It makes sense as the photo inspiration, but it's definitely not a color combination that I would use otherwise. Maybe the reds and the browns, but that pop of blue is something a little bit different, and that's one of the reasons to use the color cube because especially for me, color is a little bit of a weakness for me. I'm not very adventurous with color, and one of the reasons why I got the color cube was so that I can explore different color palettes. So I am really excited to actually pull it out and try to make some good use of it. So if you want to see how everybody else on the team has been inspired by Karen, then please do expand the description box below. There's going to be a playlist where all of our videos have been collected. And if you want to see Karen's original works, you'll also find a link to her Instagram profile in that description box as well. So I hope you'll hop along and see the rest of the videos on this hop. And I just want to thank Karen for being an inspiration because I had a lot of fun making this card. I've got Karen's original card that inspired me, and she takes such lovely photos. I love, Karen, that you always include the color cube card so that we can see where you're finding your color palettes from. So I think that's that's really awesome inspiration. And I thought about maybe using the same card that you did, but instead I figured let me just draw something at random. And so I picked some Versamagic inks that I think are a kind of close match. I did have a second red ink that's slightly darker, but red is such a strong color. I only ended up with 4 spaces to swatch out, and that pretty much follows Karen's original card as well. And I thought of the 4, I don't think I want 2 of them to be red. So I opted to leave the 5th color off of my my card. And I'm just trying to do a little bit of stamping to give some texture to these little swatches of color. I noticed Karen's got a lot of different textures and patterns in hers, which I thought were really fun. And I don't know exactly the technique that she used to create the look that she did, but what I did was I just tore washi tape in half, and then I taped them kind of so that the torn edge would be where I inked. And so that way, where the color is, it kind of looks like it has a very torn edge to it. And it's just a different look. I thought it was kind of fun to do. I think I read in Karen's original post that her card was inspired by a technique from another crafter. And so I'm gonna have to go back and actually find the video, if there's a video on that technique, and actually see, how that look was created. But I kind of like what I came up with, and so I'm just gonna roll with it. And I started with an A2 panel, but I'm gonna actually cut this down a little bit, and I'll I like the look of sort of that white on white, so I'm not going to actually matte another color behind here, because one of the things that I really like about it is the sort of the simplicity of it. And so I don't want to throw too much color, especially since I think those swipes of color, they're kind of the star of the card. And so because everything else is I think a little bit more subtle. And just like how Karen has stamped this, she's got a really large floral stamp. This is the only thing that I could, off the top of my head, think of. It's by Not Too Shabby, and I chose this particular tulip because there were 3 stamps in that set. But this was the only one that was tall enough to actually stretch across all 4 of the swatches, and it actually fits kind of perfectly. And so I had to go with this one, which meant that it looks like it's curving a little bit towards, like, it's got a curvature that makes me feel like it should belong on the right hand side of the card. Where, so I'm kind of flipping where my stamp is and where my sentiment is, as compared to Karen's original card. She has her sentiment in the top right, and I ended up having to put mine in the bottom left. And, that's part of the fun of being inspired by somebody else. It's not that you necessarily need to make the exact same thing, but you kind of take an idea that you see and then you just roll with it and you make it your own. So I love the technique. That's the thing that I learned from Karen's card, and I kind of want to do this more and learn the actual technique that Karen was inspired by. I noticed that she's got some bling on her card, so I'm gonna add a little bit of bling onto mine as well. I found these perfect glitter enamel dots that were a really close match to the blue, and I thought that might brighten up the whole card just a smidge because it's so dark otherwise with the browns. And so it's kind of nice to bring a little bit of that light color to the bottom of the card. And that's gonna basically wrap up my card, except that I was gonna give a close-up look, and then I noticed that when I peeled off the washi, my washi is stronger than I thought because it actually tore my cardstock a little bit. So my card is done. I'm not gonna redo this, obviously. So whenever that happens, what I do is I actually take my sand eraser and I actually sand where it's been torn. And a lot of times you can actually get it to be kind of level again, and you can hardly notice, if at all, that it's been torn. Well, I can notice it, but it's a lot less noticeable now than it was before. On camera, you can barely see it, but in real life, you can actually see it if you look close enough and you tilt it. I think you probably were able to see it when I tilted. So that's just a little trick. If you tear a bit of cardstock and you want to smooth that back out, just use your sand eraser. So I hope you enjoyed my card today. Remember to expand that description box. Check out Karen's Instagram profile. There'll be a link to that, and as well a link to the collaboration playlist where you can see what everybody else made. Thanks again, and until next time, happy crafting and have a fabulous day. Bye.